afternoon and welcome. We are excited that you have taken time out of your day to learn about a great offering, our Masters of Science in Finance. My name is Lucy Pagan, and I am the Director of Admissions for Northwood University's DeVos Graduate School of Management. My staff and I are dedicated to guiding you through the admissions process. Our agenda for this session is as follows: an overview of Northwood University and the DeVos Graduate School, finance, the what and the why, our program overview and highlights. We'll hear from an alumni of this program. We'll briefly share other program offerings, the admissions process, and we will have questions and wrap up. If you do have any questions, please type them in on the Q&A on the right-hand side of your screen, where we will be able to answer them during and after the presentation. This webinar will also be recorded and will be made available to you. I'd now like to introduce Dr. Peter Bush, our lead finance professor for our graduate school. Peter has over 20 years in the automotive and financial services industry. Over 10 of those years focused on operations finance, where he was responsible for the leadership of global business units and the implementation of financial operations best practices throughout the corporate manufacturing environment. His most recent experience was in corporate treasury, where he was responsible for financial risk management, policy development and implementation, global FX management, funding attainment for global automotive operations, and the development of free cash flow forecasting and reporting for both internal and external consumption. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you, Lucy. Very much appreciated. So good afternoon, everyone. As Lucy mentioned, my name is Dr. Peter Bush. Peter works for me, and I want to welcome you to the information session today. And my hope is to provide you as much insight into the program as possible, into the school as possible if you're unfamiliar with Northwood and the DeVos Graduate School, so that it can help you make decisions as you move forward in terms of your education. So quick overview of Northwood University. Our mission is to develop the future leaders of a global free enterprise society, and certainly that's a mission that we believe in. I mean, there are many places that talk about their approach to free enterprise, but we live it, we breathe it, and it's in our blood here. And so we're all about developing leaders, and in this case specifically financial leaders, to help drive businesses, multinationals, etc., forward in this global environment. So let's talk about the MSF, right? The MSF, the DeVos MSF was designed to accelerate the growth and development of motivated finance professionals operating in industries such as corporate finance, banking, financial services, healthcare. I'm not going to read through the list, but at the end of the day, I developed this program. I launched this program 2.5 years ago. It is designed for finance professionals, accounting professionals, people that would benefit from learning more about the different parts and pieces of finance that are largely really in two arenas. The first is corporate finance, and when you'll talk about corporate finance, that's a wide breadth of different responsibilities that come into play. You heard my background and the different things I've done over the years from operations finance. I've done purchasing finance, product development finance, treasury, you name it, right? And so there's a lot of different skill sets that fall into each of these categories in order to be effective at them. And so that's one area. And the other, I mean, if you're looking forward to potential CFA designation or something of that nature, which certainly is a credential that will do great things for you in the future. And realistically, as a 20-year corporate guy and hiring gosh knows how many financial analysts and managers over the years, some of these designations like a CFA or a CMA can be very beneficial to your future and beneficial to the corporation where you work. So really this MSF was designed to be very, very practical. Right, so let me switch quickly. So the outcomes that you would expect, first, methods, models, right? The idea is that can you effectively use financial data and other information and develop useful information out of it to help drive a business, right? That's the way I look at it in a nutshell throughout the different classes, and I'll talk about some of the courses in a little bit. It's all pieces and parts of that, right? Different types of models, how we apply them, how we drive business decisions with them. That's really where we spend our focus. And I'll talk more about that as I hit the class slide. Dynamic learning environment. I can tell you, so once again, we talked about my corporate experience. I've been in education as well, in academia for 18 years at a number of different institutions. Obviously, I'm a full-time academician here. But I can tell you what, the Northwood and DeVos specifically is different. And I'm not just saying that. The environment that we have here, the learning environment, the hands-on access with your instructors, is just different than other places, right? We don't use things like TAs. We don't have any of these kind of buffers in between you and the professor, which I think is really important. Also, all of our professors have real world experience. So you've already heard from me with 20 years, but there's everybody else here who teaches different classes, all either have prior real world experience or current real world experience. And so one of the things outside of just being practical in nature in terms of the structure of the courses is really to take the content of the courses and package them into the real dynamic world now. What's happening now, because we all know the business world is dynamic, finance evolves with it, and that's really the structure of how these courses and the program is built. So this is a holistic curriculum, right? It's emphasizing core finance skills across a number of different categories. Once again, when I hit the courses in a few minutes, that becomes a bit more clear. And CFA designation, that's one. There's a CMA and others. A lot of the stuff we cover through these courses is pseudo prep for a CFA, for the CFA exam. And not that I'm calling this program a CFA prep program, because it is not. But really, if you talk about the CFA, the information that's on the CFA exam, we cover 80 to 90% of it within the courses. So there's a lot of foundational building that would encourage you and help you move in that direction. Just a quick kind of quote from a former, well, actually a current student, John Waringa. And so I think it's important. I'm not going to read the quote to you, but one of the things that, when I view developing a program, when I view just dealing with any single individual class, is the student is the customer. And what I'm trying to do with the program or the class is to provide the best value to them. Meaning, when you go through a class or you go through a program, there should be some tangible results that you see at the end that you can turn around and apply to the real world, right? That is the goal. And when I look at, many of our graduates, John here, and then we'll meet another graduate in a few minutes here, it really speaks to the fact that we are focusing on the things that is the intention. That's the goal here. So really quickly, this is an overview of the coursework. So the 10 classes that are part of the program. And the way I look at it, if you look at the top structure, the first 4 classes across the top here, so ECN 644, Fin 632, Fin 634, and Management 664, I consider the foundational classes, right? They build a foundation of the basic, the basic finance, accounting, and economic/management knowledge that you need to dive deeper into more complex finance work. So you'll notice, like Fin 632, it's called financial reporting. I essentially consider it the accounting/financial analysis class. Fin 634, I look at as the base corporate finance course. So the nice thing about this program is I didn't want to just design it so that, it is for students that are, maybe 1 year removed from, taking a base accounting class and a base finance class, and you just launch yourself, into higher, kind of higher level finance courses. I wanted it to either develop that base knowledge first, meaning that you don't need to already know corporate finance to come into this program, right? You're going to learn it in 634. You don't need to have a working knowledge of financial analysis either, because we're going to do that in 632. Right now, if you have those things, that's great. Like it'll guide you, it'll aid you through the program, so there's no question about that. But that is not a precursor before entering this program, because we will focus on building those skills here. And then once those foundational skills are built, you can see across the bottom the different courses in the program. And if you just look at, I think for these courses, I think the titles are pretty self-explanatory in terms of investments, right? We dive deeply into investment, instruments, strategy, etc. M&A valuations in 642, risk management and derivatives. I think it's a really important course. I could tell you with my 20 years in corporate, 90% of the finance and accounting people in the field really don't understand risk management and particularly derivatives all that well. And so that to me provides you with a leg up that you can use effectively for your career progression. 646 is strategic planning, portfolio management 655. Then 690 is a capstone. That capstone is a self-directed study. Well, it's a self-directed study with a one-on-one with a professor. And really any realm of finance that you want, application-based, so certainly you can apply it to where you work, things of that nature. Really quickly, I wanted to put some scope behind this. So if you talk about some of these courses like Fin 634, right? Fin 634 is the base corporate finance course. We do a lot of work around valuation and financing, capital structure, things of that nature. If you think about the current world and the COVID pandemic and all of that, we also focus on forecasting in that class as a precursor to valuation. So you learn some of these practical skills to deal with things like the COVID pandemic. Investments, we had a really interesting year and have been having an interesting year with things like Reddit, GameStop, AMC, don't forget Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and all kinds of other things going on. And so a lot of these things we bring into the courses as well. And finally, as I mentioned, the capstone course, which is a customizable project. And I think that's really cool because it's something that can provide value to you and your employer, which I think is a great thing. Okay, so quickly, so our next presenter is an alumni of the MSF program. Christy Colbert is a 2020 graduate of the DeVos Graduate School of Management with a Master's of Science in Finance, so this program. She's also a 2017 adult program graduate of Northwood University with a BBA majoring in accounting. Christy has over 20 years of experience as an accounting professional. She's currently an accounting manager at the Gallagher Group, a brand marketing and public relations agency in Tucson, Arizona, nice and warm. In her spare time, Christy enjoys camping, sightseeing, and axe throwing, which sounds quite fun. She also cherishes the time she gets to spend with her grandchildren. So I want to take a minute here to welcome Christy and on the torch.
Christy, thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, a lot of those activities sound fun, and sometimes having to be able to do all of that along with the program, that's a lot of time management and balancing that I think you probably did very well. So some of the things that we like to ask our alumni is, why did you select this program, this specific one, and why with our graduate school?
I chose the MSF program with DeVos School of Management because I feel like it helped me take my career to the next level professionally. I feel like I'm now able to compete for higher level opportunities and focus on a more challenging career. DeVos was my school of choice for many reasons. Their programs are designed for working adults such as myself and many other professionals out there. Their professors, academic advisors, program center managers, career services are all top-notch. Career services is for life, and they are there to help you and back you up along the way. DeVos Graduate School of Management and Northwood University have a great reputation, and their graduates are highly sought after.
Wonderful. And then how would you say that the program itself has impacted your career?
I feel like the Master of Science in Finance program has taught me that I can excel by reaching beyond my comfort level. The program has also allowed me to perfect in-demand skills such as financial analysis, critical thinking, project management, and working with a team.
Great. And so for some, you would say, going through a program, you might have a memory that you fall back to, or just a highlight or an aha moment. What was the highlight of this program for you?
The biggest highlight for me was probably discovering the confidence that I never knew I had before. The MSF program has helped me build lifelong relationships with both cohort and faculty. I did also learn with some discipline, hard work and dedication, that I can achieve a higher level, and that the sacrifice to get there was very well worth it in the end.
Thank you. And as someone who experienced the MBA program, but just having, other cohort members, classmates that are going through the same thing, have the same kind of, full-time commitments, you definitely keep each other accountable. So I think that is definitely a plus of our program offerings. Why would you say that someone should consider this Masters of Science in Finance program?
Sure. The Master of Science program is led by top experts, as Dr. Peter Bush said earlier in the presentation, top experts in finance and the accounting industry. The professors can easily apply their real-world experiences to the course material, and they are also an invaluable source of information. And the program, the Masters of Science in Finance program, is also designed towards working adults that are also working a full-time career, still are able to manage this program very successfully.
Thank you, Christy, so much. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit about those specifics about what the courses entail time-wise. Also, just a reminder, feel free to put any of your questions that you might have, either if they're directed to Professor Bush or to Christy or myself on the admissions side. Feel free to add those in the Q&A, and we will definitely get to those at the end of this presentation. I'm going to turn it back to Peter, who's going to give a little bit more specifics or overview, rather, on our Strategic Finance certificate, as well as the MSF, the full program, the Master of Science in Finance.
Thank you.
To me, finance is fun and finance is dynamic. And honestly, that's what I've really focused on with this program. And if people, didn't believe me before, if you look at 2021 and just all the different things that have been ongoing this year, I mentioned some of them with, with the whole Reddit tie-in to GameStop and AMC, with Dogecoin, and I mean, really, how cool is a finance world when you have a CEO of a major corporation go on Saturday Night Live, do a skit, and impact a financial instrument like Dogecoin by making it drop by 30% during that skit. I mean, that's something, right? And so it is an interesting world. I think finance is evolving rapidly with fintech and all kinds of other things that are in play. And really, that is some of the things that we focus on in some of these courses is what does the future look like? How do we operate in this environment? How do we lead in this environment and deal with the dynamic nature of it? So quickly, some high-level facts about the MSF. It's a 24-month program, so essentially 2 years. It's 10 courses, which I already showed you a quick picture of. It's an online course, right? So theoretically, realistically, if you never want to hit the ground here in Midland, you don't have to, right? Doesn't mean you can't, but you certainly don't need to. We have 3 starts through the year, and the whole idea is to provide flexibility and accessibility to the students, and really that's the goal. So what I'm trying to do is move quick, because if you have questions, number one, please ask them as we go along here, and certainly even after this, if you have questions later, you can also reach out to me at any time, and I'll be more than happy to have a discussion with you. One thing I want to note outside of the MSF program, so just a separate, we have a certificate that we also created this year, a strategic financial leadership certificate, right? And so you talk about credentialing and putting yourself in a position to be competitive, and that's what this is all about. Especially early to mid-career, you're constantly trying to get a leg up on your competition. The certificate could come into play too if you're not quite ready to commit to an MSF program or something of that nature. It combines some of the finance courses from the MSF program, so a couple of those courses and a leadership course together, and really does provide something that adds value as well. So this is a separate certificate from the MSF, but I would feel remiss if I didn't at least mention it today. It's also online. It's 4 courses, and once again, there are 3 starts throughout the year. So I can't say enough that first of all, if you have questions, please ask them, and certainly after this today, if you really want to know more, right, please reach out. I'll be more than happy to jump on the phone with you and discuss it in great detail. And I think that will provide you a plethora of information to make the best decision for you and your future. So once again, I'm going to pass back to Lucy.
Thank you, Peter. And so just to kind of tell you a little bit more about this MSF program, and even with the certificate. So how it's rated is the per credit hour. So that is $8.25 per credit hour. Each course is worth 3 credits. So that is the pricing there, $2,475. So approximately, it's a little bit under the $25,000 investments that you would be making. This does not include the materials for it, so that's why I say a roundabout of the $25,000 is what you might expect to pay. There's a lot of various options of how you can pay for this program, be it if maybe your employer provides any kind of tuition benefits. That's something to check with your HR department, as well as looking into the FAFSA and maybe applying for that if you're looking to get any kind of student aid. So thank you, Peter. If you'll go to the next slide there. Our admissions process is as follows. We are currently accepting applications for our August 23rd start. And as Peter mentioned, we do start our programs every, our fall, our spring, and our summer starts. So typically every 8 weeks. These courses are 8 weeks in length. So you are typically taking 1 course per 8 weeks. So for example, if you are starting this fall with us, you would be scheduling for 2 courses in the fall, 2 courses for the spring, and 1 course for the summer. So that's 5 courses in 1 year, and then you would repeat that for that second year. We do understand that things happen, life happens, and so if you do need to take any kind of break for an 8 weeks or be it a semester, we do have a graduate advisor that will work with you throughout the program, and she will make sure that we stay on a plan of completion for you. So with the admissions process, what we look for is an online application to be completed. That's at apply.northwood.edu. We do ask for you to submit a current resume or CV showing your educational and professional experiences. Also provide all official transcripts for undergraduate coursework. Now, if you did complete a Northwood degree, we would have those on file, so you should not have to request those. We do calculate on a cumulative GPA. For our MSF program, we do look at a minimum of a 3.0. However, that does not mean if that GPA is not met that you would not be accepted. It just means that we might have some additional items that we might request from you. There's a writing sample. That's one of the additional items that we would request. And then an interview is always had by one of our admissions representatives, just to really understand a little bit as to your background, what skills you're bringing to the course, to the program, as well as what you're going to contribute and what you're hoping to get out of the program. Lastly, if you are accepted into the program, we do ask for a commitment deposit that is applied towards your first semester of tuition, and that's a $150 commitment deposit. You'll go to the next one. And just to touch on a couple of the other programs that we do offer, our MBA program, that is one thing we didn't really touch on here, but our MBA and our MSF, our Master of Science in Finance, do have 4 courses that overlap. And so what does that mean? If you have maybe done an MBA program with us already, then there would only be 6 additional courses that you would need to take to get then the additional MSF, and vice versa. If you've then done on our MSF program, our Master of Science in Finance program, and you want to then go a little bit broader into the Master of Business Administration, then there would just be those additional courses that you would be taking. Our Master of Science in Business Analytics is a new one that just came on this fall, as well as our Organizational Leadership is another MS program. All of our MS programs are 30 credit hours. Our MBA is 36 credit hours. And for those that have already completed a master's level degree, you may be interested in our Doctorate of Business Administration, which started last fall. So we have flexible class formats, as I mentioned a little bit about the 8-week courses, the dedicated advisor that you would have in this program. That's okay. The capstone projects, I know that Peter mentioned those that are very valuable, not only to yourself, but to your organization as well. There are scholarships available, so if you do meet our minimum requirements, our admissions representative will work with you to let you know what you might qualify for. One nice thing about our graduate school is that we don't require the GMAT or the GRE. As Peter mentioned, it's very much hands-on and application-based, so not a lot of exams that you will encounter throughout the program. And just touching back, because we did have a question in regards to advisor in the program. So the question was, are we assigned a faculty advisor for the whole program or just for the capstone course? So what I responded there is that you have the dedicated graduate advisor who works with all of our graduate students. She works to onboard you once you're accepted into the program, making sure that financial aid is in place if you're going to utilize that, your tuition benefits, and then also helping you to register for your classes that you'll be taking and putting together a completion plan for the students. As for faculty, you'll encounter various faculty throughout the program. Peter is obviously one of our lead ones, but then you will have that opportunity to be assigned with a dedicated faculty advisor for your capstone course. Peter, is that good response there?
Yeah, that's good. And let me just touch real quick. I mean, if you're not familiar with DeVos and Northwood, I mean, this is a very personal, hands-on experience here. I am accessible all the time. Right. So rather not having a specific faculty advisor through the whole program is somewhat irrelevant because you're going to reach out to me at any time and I will be more than happy to work with you. So it is a real personalized experience here. I cannot stress that enough.
Thank you so much. So if you just want to go to that next slide, my contact information is there. If you have already been working with one of our representatives and partially through the process, we're excited that you've made this decision to, continue on with your education. As I mentioned again, we are still accepting applications for this fall, apply.northwood.edu, and it would be for our Masters of Science and Finance program or any of our other programs. Again, we will have this recorded and we will shoot that out to anyone who's attended, or if you want to request it, my information is below. You can always shoot me an email and I can send that out to you. It's paganl@northwood.edu. Again, thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, we'd like to hear from you. Thank you.